Hey, good morning. This is Sean Buck. We're going to be going over the listing agreement, residential listing agreement. So let's dive right in. So first part, paragraph one is the seller's information and realtor's information. Number two, paragraph two is the property lot block, county, city, physical address, partial IDs. And then we talk about improvements to the property. Like if the refrigerator is permanently installed, um, then it stays. If it's not permanently installed, then it can go. Same with like EV chargers. So it's hardwired in, mounted, then it's a fixture and stays. If it's one of those that just plugs into the wall outlet, then and it can be removed. And that's something different that can talk about your accessories and improvements here. So exclusion, like if you want to exclude anything on the listing, like TV mounts, curtains, rods, um, uh, a fan, a light fixture, especially in listings, we say if you're wanting to exclude something, you probably should replace it and move it before you go live on the market, but it's up to you. Owners Association, if you're in an HOA, then we obviously have to disclose it and do the HOA addendum. Listing price. Price is key. Time is money. So obviously consult with your realtor on what you think the best price would be versus the time versus the money and you wanting to sell the property. Terms of the listing agreement. So the date on which you sign and the date when, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. It's up to you with your agent. Broker compensation. So this is talking about of the sales price, how much are you willing to pay your agent for their services and what they're going to provide. So in Texas, everything is negotiable. So just know that and have that conversation. And that's specifically what this form's about. So, and then if you're offering anything to the other side. So everything has to be disclosed and in writing and firmed down. So have that conversation and go from there. Authorization. Seller does or does not authorize broker to disclose what the other prospective buyers will consider or contributing the amount towards the buyer's expenses. And that's when you watch our overview of the contract until paragraph 12, it goes over what they're submitting their compensation for. C, broker compensation is earned. Talk specifically about what those are. Once it's paid, there's payable food. Other compensation, breach of contract, service providers, any other fees. So if there's a termination clause for all services renders, they place for this. Protection period, most people put 30, 60, 90 days in here. And that just says, hey, if I brought a buyer, a potential buyer to your property, and then we went, the property expired or went off market or it's on hold, and then you tried to sell it, then hey, I brought that buyer, we would be paid for bringing that person to the property. Obviously, the county on which the broker resides in, escrow authorization, all money goes to an escrow title company. So no money should be held by the agents. Listing services. So you obviously would want to advertise this on the MLS. Sometimes for some reason you may not want to be, and you can disclose that here and if you do not want it done that way. Listing content, the listing agents are going to be pulling all the information they possibly can from all our internal sources, tax rolls, MLS data, and any other information, appraisals, inspections, all these type of things. So we want to make sure to disclose where we get our information, and then authorization and access to the property. So doing scheduling services, there's a few different ones that are big ones that are out there. So just disclosing which ones you'd be using. Obviously having access to the property and putting a lockbox on the property. Liabilities, limitations, when access to the property, keep your insurance if someone falls, hurts themselves, like that's on our insurance doesn't cover someone getting hurt on the property. So you want to keep your homeowner's insurance and keep paying your mortgage. during that process. Intermediary status basically says, hey, I've got a buyer that came to me. I'm representing you, the seller. I would have to disclose if I'm going to represent both sides, or if someone else in my office is bringing a potential client, then we would disclose that as well. Just make sure that all parties are aware that, hey, this is how we're operating. Everybody signs off on what is happening. No intermediary status basically says I am not allowed to represent the other buyer, or nobody in my office is allowed to represent the buyer. Well, obviously, we want to advertise that within our own offices for sure, but sometimes it's in best interest to hand that off to someone else in your office and you not represent both parties, because then you have to be a neutral third party and just passing forth data of, hey, they said this, and you can't give any advice. Confidentiality, anything when representing the seller, it's what we say is confidential and only be allowed to tell people if we were given permission to. Authorization to put listings and display things on the internet, which kind of loans would we accept? Conventional cash, FHA, VA, land owner financing. Others just disclosing that this is what we're going to advertise it with. We're going to follow the MLS rules outlined. And seller representation, we're representing the seller. There's a disclosing if there's any other encumbrances against the property, liens, and title will obviously open title and find things as well that sometimes you may or may not know about. So there's a relocation company, we have to know that. Districts, providers, sewer, drainage, flood facilities, mud districts, pit districts, FEMA flood, like we'd have to disclose those type of things. Obviously, seller additional properties to cooperate with a broker to facilitate showings, marketing, and sale of property. Limitations of liability, broker is not liable for personal injury or loss, damages of the personal or property resulting in active omission caused by negligence. So we have our insurance, you'll have your insurance. Everybody just clear in communication on what's happening when, and then make sure people are safe. The property is safe for people to access. Default, if there's defaults, mediation attorneys, and then any other addendums and other documents that we need to disclose. If it's obviously information about broker services, seller disclosures, any of the MUDs, PID districts, on-site sewer, HOA, all these different type of forms there are. So your agent will go over that. And listing the property with you, agreements with parties, additional notices, and then all parties sign. And then we're going to get it on the market. So if you have questions, please reach out. Obviously, I'm not an attorney, I'm a real estate broker. This is kind of a high level overview of the listing agreement. Happy to go in more detail on specific things. Give me a call, shoot me an email. Love to have that discussion with you. Hope you have a great day. Talk soon.